cars continue to roll up here. We're just a couple minutes away from rolling out onto the racetrack. So we're looking forward to 2023. I know the schedule and the season schedule here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and a lot of the series schedules are going to be announced. Certainly for the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada and the M-Zone Radical Cup Canada, I think they've already put out sort of a rough schedule for next year with some TBAs and TBAs, but looks like they're going to be back here Victoria Day Speed Fest and here again on Labor Day, and looking forward to seeing the new TCA class that's going to be part of the series, and of course that M-Zone Radical Cup Canada series, some really solid looking grids. Wouldn't be surprised to see over 20 cars in that series that was totally dominated by Jonathan Woolridge as he caps off that perfect season.
Yeah, and you know what? The excitement has been building surrounding the Sports Car Championship Canada Series as well, in both the TCR and the GT4 class. If you talk to the organizers of this series, there is a buzz. Remember, it has only been 2 seasons now. We're at the tail end of the 2nd season for this series. So really the ball has just started to get rolling here, and a lot of people on the outside have been looking in and seeing the professionalism of the teams, the success of some of the race dates. And you're right, coming back here to a place like Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, not once but twice in 2023, add in the Grand Prix de Trois-Rivières and a few other dates scattered around as well, yet to be firmed up. But the hallmarks are there for a great schedule and a great championship in 2023. But we have to finish things off here in 2022 first here today. And if yesterday taught us anything, is that really anything could happen in this race. We had a TCR car that won the overall, beating GT4 class cars yesterday. However, Jeremy Daniel fell way back, and he wasn't doing that to try and take it easy and baby his way to the end. No, he was having some pretty significant brake issues towards the end of that. He admitted that. He said, one more lap and I would have not been able to hang on for that race win. Jack Polito was coming in that Ford Mustang, so it did make it exciting for the fans in attendance, and we'll see if we'll get that equal level of excitement. Polito had probably his best outing of the season in that Ford Mustang, coming home 2nd overall, 1st in the GT4 class. Now, looking at the overall championship picture, you have to keep your eye on the McLaren, driven by Zachary Vanier. He's your points leader in the GT4 class. And then 2nd place is Charles Robin. Just 14 points separate those 2 drivers. This is a double points race, so theoretically it's 2 positions. So as long as Vanier finishes either in front of, and then he has nothing to worry about, or 1 position behind that Mercedes AMG of Charles Robin, then he should be crowned your champion. If he finishes 2 positions back, that's where trouble starts for Zachary Vanier.
And as we look at the cars making their way off of the Andretti straightaway and in through turn 8, we'll check to see whether or not Connor Attrell and Quinn Attrell are in fact out there on the racetrack. They were having issues here yesterday, and Connor did not start. Quinn did start, but he went out about 12 laps from the end of the race. They did complete 29 laps on a beautiful, sunny, hot afternoon here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. We'll see how many laps they'll be able to get in here in 40 minutes. So this might be a little leaner grid than we saw here yesterday when we did have 14 cars come out here on Friday.
Looks like the Attrells unable to make the call. They were struggling with some power steering issues, and the 52 of Dean Baker off course as well. So stopped down the Andretti straightaway. He's pulled off to the grass, so he's off the racing surface. But it looks like that Audi has stopped for one reason or another. As the safety car continues, we're still under pace laps, yet to take the green. So the time has not even started yet in the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada, presented by Michelin. And we've got cleanup to take care of down the back straightaway. But as you mentioned, Connor and Quinn Atrell had some issues in race number 11 yesterday, both of which power steering related, and it looks like they were unable to get things fixed up and join today's race.
Looks like 11 cars rolling through Moss Corner as they head up the Andretti straightaway. And one of those cars that may not be able to go here, Dean Baker, parked to the right there, right about turn number 7. Really isn't a turn per se, it's just a bit of a bend in that Andretti back straightaway, as is turn number 6. But the light's still on, and it looks like they're showing one more lap to go. Unless the lights get turned off, then the drivers there, Jeremy Daniel in car number 10, won the TCR class yesterday. Jack Polito in that Polito Ford Lincoln Mustang, car number 22. And again, looks like it's going to be a situation, not sure if they're going to be able to just tow that car or whether they need to get it up on the flatbed. Looks like it'll just be a tow from turn 7 on the back straightaway, but they won't be able to go green this time by, and they have not started that 40-minute clock. So a tough break here for Dean Baker in that Audi RS3, the A to Z automobile sponsored car. Here yesterday, finished in 8th, some 21 seconds back of the race winner, Jeremy Daniel. So problems there for the 52 car. It looks like it'll be 11 cars that will take the green flag once we're all set to go here. I think we should be able to go green next time by, as the flatbed is rolling into the top of the S's. There's a spot there in the S's where they'll be able to pull that car off, or maybe even just take them directly back to the paddock area and get this one rolling again.
Yeah, it looks like that's the easiest way to get these cars into the paddock area, just off of turn number 8. And actually, it looks like they're going to go right back to the pit area around on the outside of turn number 9. So that's exactly what they're going to do and drag the 52, Dean Baker. Had a pretty good run yesterday in that Audi. He was mixing it up in the top 5 in the TCR class. So using that home track knowledge to his benefit, but this will be disappointing for that driver who is hoping for bigger and better things here to cap off the 2022 season in the Sports Car Championship Canada. But you mentioned it, Pat, that a new class announced for next year already, so trying to drum up some interest and give people a little bit of a headway to get those cars and get them prepared and join the series in 2023, the TCA class. So it'll be another step below the TCR. A little smaller cars, a little less horsepower, but a lot more affordable than the TCR. So it's another step in the ladder system to move up in the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada, presented by Michelin.
Well, we were looking to go with 12 cars here, with the scratch by Quinn and Connor Atrell in the Hyundai Canada Veloster and the i30N. But both of those guys out of the running. And then with Dean Baker having his issues here on the back straightaway, we get to go 11 cars about to take the green as the pace car heads to pit road. Jeremy Daniel and Jack Polito brings the field out of turn 10.
Bunch nicely off of 10 onto the front chute, looking at the green flag as you can hear the rev start to pick up. And they'll move nicely into turn number 1. It looked like we were going to go 3 wide for just a second, but cooler heads prevailed. And we're clean through turn number 1, headed for 2. Still Jeremy Daniel, your race leader, with Polito in tow. Charles Robin coming under pressure now from the 9 of Zachary Vanier. That is an important position on track because it does have championship implications.
Indeed, those cars going side by side. Also looking here at Ron Tomlinson, who's had some pretty good pace here this weekend. Tomlinson had a battle with Dean Baker, ended up grabbing 7th, just a couple of car lengths ahead of Baker at the end. But this is a battle now for the championship in GT4. Zachary Vanier with the lead in the championship, and right now running fourth overall behind Charles Robin. But it is Jack Polito up that back straightaway. Second, third, fourth are those GT4 cars. So those three running together on the racetrack. Meanwhile, Jeremy Daniel, who has rocketed off to some pretty quick starts, with the lead as they work back through turn 10 and on the start-finish straightaway to complete the opening lap of probably somewhere in the 29 laps is what they'll be able to get in.
Jeremy Daniel, actually, when he went down the Andretti straightaway that last time, coming off of turn number 5, he started to weave back and forth. It almost looked like he was trying to break up the draft so that the more powerful GT4 car in behind didn't catch the draft and wasn't able to catch him for the overall race lead, as we have one of the Kwok cars, that's the 66 of Gary Kwok, off the pace. I believe he went off track in turn number 1. A big cloud of dust in behind. Doesn't appear to be too much damage to that Honda Civic as he does continue on, and more importantly, we stay under green.
Gary Kwok was ninth at the end of that opening lap. 21, Jean-Francois Eve, who had a great run here yesterday, finishing third overall and second in the TCR class. He is well back there in 10th. I'm not sure if that's a car issue, but then we've got Vince Partap in the fourth place spot among the GT4 entries. That is a Mercedes AMG. Here's that side-by-side battle going on.
Oh, contact at turn number 8. Tomlinson, a big slide. Contact with the 4 of Justin DiBenedetto, as Tomlinson thought he was clear going into turn number 8 and came across the nose of that Audi RS3 of DiBenedetto. They made contact, and Tomlinson, what a big save in turn number 8 to hang on to it and to hang on to the spot too.
Indeed, that could have been disaster. We only started 11 cars, and the last thing we need here, with still about 36 minutes to go, to take a couple of cars out of the running. Here is Vanier. He's right on the rear bumper of Charles Robin as they work off of turn number 3. This is the two drivers in the hunt for the championship, and indeed Gary Kwok in car number 66, the M&S Quality Produce, is on pit road side by side into the Moss hairpin. Vanier has put that FAF-sponsored McLaren around Charles Robin and taken over the third place position. Meanwhile, out in front, Jeremy Daniel, your race leader, Jack Polito in the Mustang in second, and Charles Robin and the 9 car of Zachary Vanier, the McLaren, continue to go at it. This is by far the best battle going on here on the racetrack.
And we've seen all season long that number 9 of Zachary Vanier, so very, very strong in a straight line. The Mercedes AMG entry, the 56 of Charles Robin, has been a little bit stronger when the tracks are tighter and twistier, but Robin has been able to use that to close the gap on the 9 of Zachary Vanier. But you can see here today that Vanier yesterday played a very safe role, just hung back behind that orange and black number 56, the car prepared out of the Really Autosport shop. And Vanier, this time with help from the FAF Motorsports team, has just put the hammer down. A very clean pass in turn number 5, and now he starts to open that gap over the number 56 of Charles Robin. But Robin has to look in his mirror because he has a TCR car driven by Richard Boak just in behind. So Boak in the Blanchette Motorsports number 84 Audi is right there and now looking for a way by.
And of course, he had that battle with Ron Tomlinson in car number 48 in yesterday's race. How many times were they side by side at the end of the Andretti straightaway? Both finally getting the nod there to finish in 6th overall yesterday. Tomlinson coming home in 7th as we come up on the 5.5-minute mark, and lap number 4 about to go up on the board. Jeremy Daniel, car number 10, your race leader, followed by Jack Polito. It is 2.2 seconds back to Polito, and here is Jean-Francois Eve on Tomlinson in car number 48, as Justin DiBenedetto has gotten around Tomlinson to take over 6th. Ron Tomlinson, car number 48 in 7th. 21, Jean-Francois Ave is 8th. 55, Tom Kwok runs in 9th. And rounding out the top 10 is the 4th place GT4 car of Vincent Partap. Gary Kwok is right now running a couple of laps down after having to come on to pit road to make repairs. He's being shown last and 11th on the racetrack in that M&S Quality Produce Honda Civic.
It's a battle in 4th in class in the TCR class. The 48 of Tomlinson trying to hold off the number 21 of JF Ave, as Ave tried to make a move in turn number 10, but it cost him that momentum because he gets the 55 of Kwok just in behind. So the issue there is you don't want to lay all your cards out on the table without having a backup plan, and that'll cost you a spot if you're Jean-Francois Ave, because you're the filling in that sandwich between the Audi of Tomlinson and the Honda Civic of Kwok at this point. But Ave does appear to be the faster car between himself and the 21 and the 48 of Ron Tomlinson. He's able to suck right back up to the back bumper of the 48 lap after lap, but catching is one thing, passing is a completely different story.
And looking at the race leader here as that battle continues between the 48 of Tomlinson and Jean-Francois Ave. They're almost side by side at the bottom of turn number 2. And Tom Kwok, 55 in the Honda Civic, is right there. Jean-Francois Ave right up alongside of the 48 of Ron Tomlinson. And they'll continue to battle on the short chute coming in at turn number 4. And then it is Tom Kwok in the Honda Civic right there. So this is a three-way fight going through Moss Corner involving the 48 of Ron Tomlinson in the 7th. 8th is Jean-Francois Ave, and then Tom Kwok in the Honda Civic. Ave, car number 21, has slowed on the back straight.
Yeah, off of turn number 5, something went wrong with the 21 of Jean-Francois Ave. You saw how fast he was and how much pressure he was putting on the 48 of Tomlinson, and then that car just seemed to quit on the exit of turn number 5, but now it seems to be back up to speed. I believe the headlights flickered a little bit, so maybe he started to refire, potentially hit the kill switch by accident. These are all possibilities, but we don't know for sure what did happen in the cockpit of the 21, but something definitely went amiss. He lost one position, but he also lost a tremendous amount of track position, and now he appears to be back up to speed.
Yeah, indeed, that last lap for 21 Jean-Francois Ave was a minute 30 and change. That has moved Tom Kwok in car number 55, the Honda Civic, up into the 8th place spot. 21 Jean-Francois Ave in 9th. And 38, Vince Partap in the GT4 car. He is running 4th in GT4, rounding out your top 10. And Gary Kwok in car number 66 works his way through, but he is running right now a couple of laps down after spending considerable time on pit road. Your race leader is the 10 of Jeremy Daniel. Jack Polito in second. Polito actually has the fastest lap of the race as they work up across the line to complete lap number 7. Polito is closing on Jeremy Daniel. Remember, the margin of victory yesterday between these two drivers was just 0.4 of a second, and now that Ford Mustang finding a little bit more pace, and he is closed in to within about 2.5 seconds. Meanwhile, the battle continues here for the GT4 championship. Zachary Vanier in the McLaren. Car number 9 is 3rd overall. He is 2nd in GT4. Charles Robin, 56, 4th. Then 2nd in TCR is 84, Richard Bohm. 3rd in TCR, 6th overall, the 4 of Justin DiBenedetto as they work in at Moss Corner. That is the 9 car of Vanier getting around the lap car there of 66, Gary Kwok.
So Vanier able to get through the lap traffic of Kwok fairly easily, as he now has that lap car in between himself and the next runner in the GT4 class as we look at this battle once again. So whatever happened to the 21 of Jean-Francois Evy has fixed itself, or maybe the driver has fixed it, we don't know. But Tomlinson, Tom Kwok, and Jean-Francois Evy are having a wonderful battle here for 7th overall, and we have debris down the backstretch, and a considerable amount of it, as those drivers just went through and kicked it up. So it appears as though some fiberglass or potentially carbon fiber bits down the back straightaway, and it is from the 66 of Tom Kwok. So looks like something in the right front corner of that Honda Civic completely came apart and showered the back straightaway with carbon fiber bits, and a few of those drivers did hit it, including Tomlinson, Evy, and Tom Kwok. No full course caution yet, just a localized caution down that back straightaway, so the drivers will be aware that there is something amiss as they head to turn number 8.
That is a great three-way fight for 7th, 8th, and 9th. That'll be 4th, 5th, and 6th in TCR. Ron Tomlinson, 48, 21, Jean-Francois Evy, and Tom Kwok in car number 55. So Evy has gotten around that Honda Civic of Kwok, and now is going right after the 48 of Tomlinson as they work off a turn 5C and head up the back straightaway. You can see Justin De Benedetto holding on to 3rd in the TCR class and 6th overall. And now they'll go to the left side there to avoid a good chunk of debris that's still sitting there on the racetrack. We're coming up on 13 minutes in, 27 minutes to go, working lap number 10 next time by.
And it looks like that debris is out of the racing line, the predominant racing line anyway, so the officials are going to keep things green, keep things moving along in this final race of the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada Series here for 2022. But Jean-Francois Evy really has set sail now. A 124.5 his last time by. Compare that to Justin De Benedetto, who is a position in front of him on track in the 4 car. He's a 125.2. So the 21 really, after having those issues, has found some speed, and Evy is coming. We can tell you that Jeremy Daniel, the teammate to the 21, has just that fast time, a 123.4 in the 10, as he continues to stretch a lead over the rest of the field. The 22 of Jack Polito still holding down 2nd spot. He's 3 seconds back from the driver of the 10, Jeremy Daniel. Zachary Vanier is in 3rd spot, and Charles Robin is in 4th, with Richard Boak rounding out the fast 5 as they sit right now.
There's looks like part of the body work on the left front of De Benedetto's car is flapping in the breeze as he comes out of turn number 10. That can't be helping his lap time, but he continues to run 6th overall and 3rd among the TCR class cars as they go through. It looks like the 21 of Jean-Francois Evy, maybe the fastest or the 2nd fastest of the TCR cars. He is closing in on De Benedetto. He has gotten around the 48 of Ron Tomlinson, who is in 8th overall, 55 Tom Kwok 9th, and still the 38 of Vince Partap rounds out your top 10 overall. He continues to nail down that 4th place position in GT4. And as Jean-Francois Evy clears off, all of a sudden we've got a battle here between 48 Ron Tomlinson and the 55 of Tom Kwok. And so Kwok in the Honda Civic to within just about a car length. He tucks in right up under the rear wing of that 48 car of Ron Tomlinson. As we come up here next time by for the race leader, Jeremy Daniel, it'll be 12 laps completed.
And we can tell you that Evy, the last time around, was about 0.4 of a second off the pace set by your overall race leader and his teammate, the 10 of Jeremy Daniels. So that gives you an idea of how quickly the number 21 is going at this stage in the race. But the thing working against him is track position and so much distance between himself and the front of the field as it stands right now. But Tom Kwok and Tomlinson having a dandy of a battle right now. That is for 8th and 9th position. Kwok is in 9th, and he's right up to the back end. Tomlinson not giving an inch. Now he opens the door on the inside of turn 2 on the exit, and Kwok squirts through in the 55, so picks up a spot. That was a great opportunity, and Kwok did not hesitate as it presented himself, and he just moved right through to take over 8th position.
Tom Kwok having a great run here after finishing 9th overall here yesterday, has now moved up into that 8th position. Ron Tomlinson to 9th, and of course his brother Gary Kwok right at the tail end of the field. He has been on the pit road a couple of times, and I think they may have retired from the race, or that car still sitting on pit road, being shown 11th in the running order. Also, fastest lap of the race was lap 11 there for Richard Boak in car number 84. He is right behind the GT4 car of Charles Robin, and then Justin De Benedetto is being reeled in by Jean-Francois Eve. So very shortly, we're going to have a challenge for that 3rd place position in TCR as Jean-Francois Eve, 21, is closing in on Justin De Benedetto. He was about a second quicker on that previous lap. The race leader, 10, Jeremy Daniel, up the Andretti straightaway. It's still about 3 seconds back to Jack Polito in the Ford Mustang.
Good battle here between the 56 of Charles Robin and the number 84 of Richard Boak, as those two battle just in behind the number 9 of Zachary Vande. That's for 4th and 5th overall. Again, that would put Boak second in class in the TCR division behind your race leader Jeremy Daniels. So this is for a pride position, not necessarily for a step on the podium, because these two drivers are racing in different classes. But it just goes to show you that these two different cars have strengths in different areas of the track. So the TCR is a front-wheel drive car. It's got about 400 horsepower, 4-cylinder, but turbocharged, and they have a pretty big turbo. It's pushing a lot of boost on that car. And all those TCR cars are very, very similar as far as power output goes and technology goes. Boak is in one of the older model TCR cars in the field, but you can see how well it does, especially against the GT4 in this case and Charles Robin. Now Robin has a front-engined 8-cylinder car, twin turbo as a matter of fact, pushing about 500 horsepower, but it's heavier, it's bigger, and that means it's not quite as nimble as the TCR car is behind. TCR car is a little bit more difficult to drive because it's just front-wheel drive. Those front tires are doing all the driving, doing all the braking, doing all the steering as well, so it's easy to burn off those Michelin tires, so the drivers really have to pay attention to that, whereas the GT4 drivers have to start thinking about those rear tires, not putting that power down too hard, burning off those rear Michelin tires, or punishing their brakes too much. We saw brakes can be an issue yesterday. The temperature was considerably warmer than it is today here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and that almost cost Jeremy Daniel the overall race win. His brakes started to fade about 4 laps to go in that race, and it allowed Jack Polito to catch him. Today, Polito is keeping him honest, running pretty much identical lap times as your overall race leader. The distance between them is about 3.5 seconds, and it's stayed that way, give or take a 1/10 of a second, as now the 21 of Jean-Francois Eve has caught and passed the number 4 of Justin De Benedetto.
Well, he did that coming up to the completion of lap number 14. You could see that coming as Jean-Francois Eve in car number 21 was running about a second and a half quicker than De Benedetto and it was only a matter of time. So this is your new third place car in TCR. Justin DiBenedetto in car number 4 is 4th in TCR, and then 55 Tom Kwok 5th in the class. 6th is 48 Ron Tomlinson, and then it is the Gary Kwok car, and I think that car, if they haven't gone back to the paddock, still sitting on pit road. He's showing 9 laps down, only completed 5 laps before having to bring it onto pit road. The fastest lap of the race belongs to the race leader, Jeremy Daniel, as he tries to win back-to-back here in that fixed auto Audi RS3. Right now running about 4.2 seconds clear of Jack Polito in the Polito Ford Lincoln Mustang, as he continues to lead GT4 ahead of Zachary Vanier in car number 9 and Charles Robin in the Mercedes AMG. If Vanier stays where he is, he's going to wrap up that GT4 championship.
Yeah, now it's just a matter of just easing his way through the rest of the day for Zachary Vanier. All he has to do is stay in that position. He can finish second to Jack Polito. That's okay. Polito is far enough back in the championship that he can't touch either Charles Robin or Zachary Vanier. The driver that Vanier is most concerned with is the driver of the 56 of Charles Robin, who is in his rearview mirror, but all becoming that much more distant in the rearview mirror. The driver on the move has to be the 21 of Jean-Francois Eve. He continues to be quicker than the car in front of him. Richard Boak is the next driver on his hit list in the 21 as your overall race leader comes into lap traffic, working around the Sports Car Boutique entry driven by Vince Partap as the 38 moves to the outside in turn number 3. Daniel will make his way through. That's going to slow him up just a little bit when he has a 4.5-second lead at the front of the field. So Jean-Francois Eve just turned his quickest time of the race, a 1:23.7 compared to a 1:24.6 for Richard Boak. Keep an eye on that 21. There's still about 3 seconds between them, so a lot of real estate, but the 21 is coming.
And that is second and third in TCR. Jean-Francois Eve, when it looked for a moment that he was about to head to the pits, the car slowed on the back straightaway, and a few seconds later he was back up to speed, and he has come charging up through the field right now, sitting 6th overall, but reeling in the second place TCR car in number 84, Richard Boak. They were just about 3 seconds apart, but again, Ave is running laps that are faster than Richard Boak, so we could have a challenge there for second and third in the TCR class coming up. And then here is Jack Polito. He is closing on fellow GT4 car into turn 2, and Partap will move off of the racing line. Polito goes through, but 4.2 seconds back of the race leader, Jeremy Daniel, in car number 10. We're working lap 18 as we come up on the 25-minute mark. A little over 15 minutes remaining in this final FEL Sports Car Championship Canada Series race of the year, presented by Michelin.
And it is a double points race, as we've been mentioning throughout the broadcast, that these positions, each and every position on the track, matters so much more when it is a double points race, when you're looking at your overall championship picture, and positions can change, not just for the overall championship leaders, but for those drivers still vying for 5th, 6th, and 7th in the championship. You want to gain as many positions as you can. Take advantage of those double points days, as Jean-Francois Eve is a little bit on damage control at this point after a rough start to this one, where the car seemed to die at one point coming off of turn number 5, and it refired, and it really just came to life after that. The driver did as well. He tucked his head and put his elbows out, and he has been on a tear ever since, as he continues to turn lap times quicker than the driver ahead of him, although Richard Boak seems to be picking up the pace as he just turned his quickest lap of the race the last time by in the number 84. So Boak is still 5th overall. Eve is 6th overall. But look at how close they are now, as it's about 1.7 seconds between them.
And then just looking at those lap times, although Richard Boak just turned his fastest lap of the race, going quickest here on lap 18, Jean-Francois Eve was about 0.6 of a second quicker, and now what was a 3-second gap is down to less than 2. So this one shaping up to be quite a scrap, and just ahead of that pair, of course, is Charles Robin in car number 56. He's only about a second or 2 ahead of that TCR battle for second and third as we work lap number 19 and come up here to just a little over 13 minutes to go.
And now you can see the beauty of the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada presented by Michelin on display. It's a timed race distance, but it's long enough. It's not an endurance race. It is a sprint race for these drivers. You never need to make a pit stop. But what you see over the course of these races, you see a lot of comers and a lot of goers. So drivers that might be fast from the initial drop of the green, they'll get out to a huge lead, but then other drivers who may be a little bit slower off the start, they pick up the momentum over the course of the event and battle their way back up through the field. It's a top-notch series with excitement really throughout the field, even though you've got a driver like Jeremy Daniel who seems dominant here today. He's almost 5 seconds out in front, but look at this battle we have brewing now for the 5th position as Iving has caught and is now hounding the number 84 Blanchette Motorsports entry of Richard Boak.
And again, this is for 5th overall, but more important, 2nd and 3rd in TCR. They work down through turn 4, heading up into Moss Corner, and on that last lap, it was Jean-Francois Eve with his fastest lap of the race, 1:23.574, and that's why he has moved right up under the rear wing of that number 84 Blanchette Motorsports car of Richard Boak. They're about 3 car lengths apart on the back straightaway. Boak's car showing some pretty good top-end speed, but here comes Jean-Francois Eve. He'll look on the inside into the top of the S's there at lap on corner 8 through 9, and you get the feeling it's only a matter of time before that number 21 car is around and into the 2nd place spot here in TCR.
Unlike the NASCAR Pinty Series that we saw on track just before, not a lot of bumping and bruising here in these sports cars as the drivers will give each other a little bit of space, lots of racing room. As you see the 21 poking a nose on the inside of Richard Boak in turn number 2, but not much real estate there. Now the 21 will move to the outside in turn number 3, and there is a little rub between the 2 Audis, and Eve's gonna get all the way out to the grass and a couple bumps through the holes, and he hangs on to it, finds the asphalt strip again, and manages to stay straight. Again, a huge save after a little bit of side-by-side contact with the 84 of Richard Boak as they work through turn number 3.
Well, I knew that was coming. The announcer's curse about no contact out there on the racetrack. There was solid contact, and I'll tell you, Jean-Francois Eve did a marvelous job of keeping that car pretty much on the racetrack, although he had wheels out into the dirt, and there was definitely contact there between the 84 and the 21 as we come up now on 10 minutes remaining. Jean-Francois Eve is not over. He's going right after the 84 there of Richard Boak in the battle for 2nd and 3rd. As they went into the corner, he tried to go around the outside, and then he was not given a whole lot of room there by Richard Boak. We'll call that the Boak bump in turn number 3. And again, Eve is putting on the charge. He's reeled him back in. Meanwhile, out in front, the race leader, Jeremy Daniel, has completed his 21st lap. That lead is 3.8 seconds. So Jack Polito did make up a little bit of ground. And remember, yesterday, Polito put on a big charge at the end and ended up less than half a second away from the race winner, Jeremy Daniel.
And it was really in these closing laps and the closing time, about 10 minutes to go. That's when the 22 of Jack Polito started to gain a little bit of ground as Jeremy Daniel is that weighing on his mind. Polito just turned his quickest lap of the race, a 1:23.4 compared to a 1:24.6 for Jeremy Daniel. The difference at the front, 2.6 seconds. Not 2 laps ago, that difference was almost 5 seconds between those two drivers. As a little bit further back, the dice between the 84 of Richard Boak and the 21 of JF Avey continues now into turn number 1, and this one will go to JF Avey. He had the preferred track position on the inside, turn number 1. Richard Boak knew that fighting him would be futile on the outside, so he backed up just a little bit and let the 21 go. But you can almost see the smoke coming from the driver cockpit from the 21, and that's from the driver. No doubt he was steamed after that incident in turn number 3, jumping through the grass, and then finally battles back and gets around the number 84 of Richard Boak.
And I'm not sure if Richard Boak is going to let him go as they come into Moss Corner under braking. Richard Boak is close to within a couple of car lengths, and now they exit out of 5B and head up that back straightaway. Zachary Vanier, in his hunt for the GT4 championship, has got about a 10-second advantage over that number 56 Mercedes AMG of Charles Robin. He continues to run 3rd overall and 2nd in GT4 as we come up now on just about 7 minutes remaining. And again, that 38 car of Vince Partap, the last car still running on the lead lap in 10th and 4th in GT4 as he goes through. And no, Partap has gone a lap down, so he is off of the lead lap, but has just been passed by the 56 of Charles Robin. We'll continue to monitor this fight for 2nd and 3rd in TCR involving the 21 of Jean-Francois Eve and 84 Richard Boak in the Blanchette Motorsport Audi. And also up front, Jack Polito, almost similar to yesterday, is putting in a late race charge, trying to run down that number 10 TCR class Audi of Jeremy Daniel as they come through turn number 9 into 10. What had been 1.6 seconds is going to be right around a second as they go through. No, it's 1.8. So actually Jeremy Daniel on that lap was a little bit quicker, but still about 6 minutes remaining.
Yeah, there was a chance that Jeremy Daniel might have just been cooling his brakes and easing things off a little bit, knowing that the brakes didn't quite last the entire distance yesterday after he pushed hard for the early going of the race, opened up a significant margin over the 22 of Jack Polito. So maybe that's weighing on his mind. Maybe he wanted to take it easy, back it down just a little bit and baby things home, and then realize how quickly the 22 of Jack Polito was starting to catch him. He got back on it and he turned a lap quicker than the 22 behind him. So he was able to open up that gap once again, almost stop the bleeding of after things had started to get a little bit closer at the front of the field. As you see the number 9 of Zachary Vanier, he's well back of that lead duo. The 10 of Daniel, the 22 of Jack Polito. Zachary Vanier sitting in 3rd, and then 10 seconds further adrift is the 56 of Charles Robin. And JF Avey is potentially in line to catch the 56. So the driver, the 21, is closing on the 56, so he could have 4th overall before this thing is said and done.
Well, he is pulling away from Richard Boak and that Blanchette Motorsport Audi at just a couple of seconds back of Charles Robin as we come up now less than 5 minutes to go in this final FEL Sports Car Championship Canada Race of the Year. Double points to decide the final rankings in both GT4 and the TCR class. And as we've mentioned a few times this weekend, next year, there'll be a third class in the championship for the brand new TCA class that I'm sure is going to swell the grids to well over 20 cars by the time they debut here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park at the Victoria Day Speed Fest. Race leader Jeremy Daniel, it's 1.7 seconds back to Jack Polito. And if Polito is going to catch him for the overall win, he's going to have to turn his fastest laps of the race here in the late stages. Working lap number 26. We completed 29 laps here yesterday over the 40-minute run, and it does look as though Polito may be just a little bit closer. There's the white last lap flag. So they may have thrown it a little bit early. We're showing 37 minutes on the clock, unless they counted the time with those 2 pace laps that they got in early. But right now, if Polito is going to get it done, he's got to get it done here in about half a lap. Jeremy Daniel looking to do the double. 2 wins in the offing here as the white flag out for the last of the cars going through.
So Daniel with the 22 of Polito in his rearview mirror, about 1.2 seconds back was Polito the last time they crossed the stripe. We talked a lot about the championship battle in GT4 in the TCR class. It has been very much Jeremy Daniel's season in 2022. He pretty much had the championship sewn up before even starting this final race of the 2022 season here in the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada, presented by Michelin, the TCR division. He has gone perfect here on the final race weekend. He won yesterday in the overall position. He's done it again here on Sunday. The winner in the TCR class and the winner overall is the number 10 of Jeremy Daniel. The win in the GT4, again, back-to-back race wins for the 22 of Jack Polito. Great race weekend for that team, turning things around just at the end of 2022 and coming through. And he'll claim his championship in the GT4 class, driving the McLaren. The number 9 of Zachary Vanier will stand on the podium in second, but most importantly in the championship battle, he'll stand on top.
As the drivers slow through turn number 4, that is a great run for Jack Polito. A couple of years ago was running F1600 cars. His dad, of course, Anthony, an accomplished racer in his own right. Here is the 38 car of Vince Partap. He's going to finish in 4th place in GT4 as the last of the cars come through. Charles Robin will finish 3rd in GT4, and then Richard Boak gets up there to finish 6th overall, and will be the 3rd place TCR class car in the Blanchette Motorsport Audi. But that was certainly a lot of the entertainment, that battle between Jean-Francois Eve and Richard Boak. The little incident up in turn 3 when it looked like 21 Jean-Francois Eve could be headed for the tire walls. He did a beautiful job of getting that car back on the racetrack and was able to hunt down Richard Boak to grab 2nd. Boak does bring it home here in 3rd. So it'll be Jeremy Daniel along with Jean-Francois Eve and Richard Boak.